Hey there folks, I'm Walter Benaziac, and this is Top 5. We're taking the week off from our Christmas-themed countdowns to celebrate the release of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse with one of the webhead's best animated efforts. The Spectacular Spider-Man animated series debuted in 2008 and lasted only 2 short seasons. Its run of 26 episodes doesn't make this series one of the longest tenured shows Marvel has ever put out, but it made an indelible impact on television critics and fans of Spider-Man. To this day, people still speak of how well developed the characters and stories felt. It focused on a 16-year-old Peter Parker in high school dealing with his new spider powers, the recent loss of his Uncle Ben, interacting with his friends, and most importantly, growing up. One of the aspects many fans point out is how mature the themes are, yet packaged into a kid-friendly show. Anyone could enjoy Spectacular Spider-Man, and that's what made it stand out. The lead story editor and writer, Greg Weisman, was a co-creator of Gargoyles in the 90s and went on to a little show called Young Justice after this. Top 5 Young Justice episodes, Top 5 Gargoyles episodes. So with him and the other talents guiding this series from behind the scenes, we know quality control was important in this incarnation of the wall crawler. But what are the best installments of this show? It's time to find out. These are the top 5 best Spectacular Spider-Man episodes. Number 5. First Steps from Season 2. This episode did what a lot of the others did well, juggling multiple characters and storylines in a coherent and exciting way. It's Flash Thompson's birthday. While his friends all gather at his house, Peter has a lot on his mind. He's began dating Liz Allen, but is still trying to sort out his feelings for Gwen Stacy, and he keeps catching glimpses of his missing frenemy, Eddie Brock, in unexpected places. Also, Harry Osborn has returned from his long trip to get his life back on track. Things are made even crazier when the Sandman tries to rob an oil tanker. Just a regular, hectic day in the life of Peter Benjamin Parker. I'm going to try not to give too much away for all these episodes, but just in case, this is a light spoiler warning. I like this episode a lot because it furthers development on so many long-term arcs while still delivering a great singular story. The format is also interesting, with video messages from Flash's friends playing throughout the duration. Eddie Brock's return ends up being the most important thing in the episode, as he is in search of where Peter left the Venom symbiote. Early on, we're not sure if Peter is just seeing things or if Eddie has indeed returned. The Sandman story is handled very well here. Up until this point, Flint Marko was depicted as a simple, petty thief, even after he gets his Sandman powers. But it's in First Steps where we see him start to really grow as a character. Somewhat playing off Thomas Hayden Church's depiction in Spider-Man 3, this version of the character is shown to have a few more layers to him. On a smaller note, I really liked where the show was heading with Flash Thompson. They obviously had bigger plans for him if the show was to keep going, and we saw the seeds of that in Season 1 and here. The fact that he and Peter used to be best friends when they were younger kids is an important aspect of Flash's portrayal. All in all, a great episode that feels like a microcosm of why the show is of such high quality. Number 4. The Uncertainty Principle from Season 1. The climax to the first Green Goblin arc and much more make this chapter a good one. John Jameson and a few other astronauts are in trouble when a problem rears its head that could make their trip back to Earth deadly. It's also Halloween, and the kids of Midtown High are attending a local carnival. When trouble with the Green Goblin once again surfaces, Peter is forced to leave to try and stop him. Harry Osborn's addiction to the green, an Oscorp substance that gives him physical and mental enhancements, is out of control. Gwen Stacy tries her best to stop him, but Harry's breaking point is near. The mature themes I mentioned earlier are evident in how Harry's story plays out in Season 1. Drug addiction and how it affects those around you is a heavy subject to cover, but they did it with class and presented it in a simple enough way that kids could understand. Harry's dysfunctional relationship with his father is also put on full display, giving this episode an emotional resonance. Having this all in the background as the Green Goblin arc was peaking made this installment must-see. Tombstone showing up for the final fight made everything feel that much more important, and we even got to see a little chink in the armor of J. Jonah Jameson.
I'm told that as the shuttle enters Earth's atmosphere, NASA will likely lose contact.
Whatever happens, Foswell, you give it to me straight.
Sure, JJ. Straight.
If you're a fan of the Green Goblin or deeper development of some of these side characters, the Uncertainty Principle is absolutely worth checking out. Number 3. Nature vs. Nurture from Season 1. The finale of Season 1 was a highlight for the series. After Peter rejected the alien symbiote, it ended up bonding with Eddie Brock in their mutual hatred of Spider-Man and Parker. Together, they become Venom and are out to destroy everything its former host held dear. Now, Peter has to fight an enemy who knows his every move and all his secrets. I love this episode. It's the culmination of a great story with Eddie Brock and Peter, while setting up Venom as the show's latest and greatest threat. How they connected Eddie and Peter as longtime friends was genius. I wish this was made into mainstream continuity because it makes perfect sense and deepens their rivalry.
Don't do this, bro!
We're not brothers!
Our parents may have died together, but you had your precious aunt and uncle. We had no one. We've always been alone.
It's a more tragic arc that was built slowly through the first season, and you really feel for Brock. He had everything taken away from him and was seemingly betrayed by his closest friend. This dynamic is my favorite in the series and shows off the sacrifice Peter had to make as Spider-Man and the consequences of the well-meaning choices he made up to this point. While the Eddie-Peter feud is a lot of fun to watch, it's not the only thing happening in this episode. Aunt May is still recovering from her recent heart attack, which has put Peter on edge, and the Peter-Gwen friendship takes a turn that was expanded upon in the following season. Nature versus nurture is something special and unique from other Spidey Venom stories. I dare say it could be the best. Number 2. Final Curtain from Season 2. This episode was the unintentional series finale, but ended things on a high note. Spider-Man and the resurfaced Green Goblin are close to having a final confrontation. Spidey seems to have deduced the Goblin's identity, which isn't the person he originally thought. The big reveal behind the Season 2 finale is a great payoff to the Goblin's arc in the show. It's complex, it's intriguing, and also full of potential as to where this series could have went in a third season. I can't talk about it too much without completely spoiling it, but just trust me, this one was packed with entertaining twists and turns. And again, the relationship of Peter and Gwen takes up a good portion of the story. That development ended in a great setup for more, but as we know, this was the end of the road for Spectacular Spider-Man. And the number one best Spectacular Spider-Man episode is Intervention from Season 1. How Peter breaks free of the symbiote's grasp in this episode is what Spider-Man is all about. Peter accidentally acquired his new symbiotic black suit a few episodes prior, and slowly, his personality has been changing. Sure, he's under a lot of stress with Aunt May in the hospital, but lately he's been pushing away his friends and getting much more hostile. When he realizes what the black suit has been doing to him, he tries to get rid of it. However, the symbiote is not so easy to dispose of. It forcefully takes Peter on a journey inward. It is within his own mind that Parker's will is tested to the fullest extent possible. We see glimpses of Spider-Man's classic origin here, as well as a manifestation of Uncle Ben that gives us a deep insight into what makes Peter Parker tick. It uses a lot of scene setups and dialogue from the first Sam Raimi movie to illustrate how Peter accepted that with great power must come great responsibility. Peter defending his own consciousness is fascinating. Seeing how all that plays out made me fall in love with this show. Also, we get one of those little wisdom scenes with Flash that rounded him out as a character.
Yeah, your aunt's sick. Poor puny Parker. Even Sally feels bad for you. But not me. If you're hanging up on the she-geek, that proves you're still a stuck-up egghead. A guy who can't even see when his friends are trying to help.
Intervention is my favorite episode. It's one of my favorite Spider-Man stories in general because of how they visually depicted Peter's struggle to reject the symbiote. Obviously, this is my top recommendation. It's unfortunate that Spectacular Spider-Man was cancelled mostly because of Disney purchasing Marvel and the rights for the show falling into corporate limbo. It's a good thing that we will never again be denied something so amazing because of complicated legal red tape. Oh. Since watching this show for the first time years ago, I've always compared it to 1994's Spider-Man the Animated Series. On my personal channel this week, I ask, which is better? It's Spider-Man vs. Spider-Man in a new video up now. I want to hear what you guys think. What is your favorite Spectacular Spider-Man episode? What do you want us to cover next in the show? Leave a comment and let us know. To keep in touch, you could like my Facebook page or follow along on Twitter. We'll catch you right back here next week as we shift back into Christmas time on a brand new episode of Top 5. Excelsior!
You know when you put your tongue on the side of the ship and it sticks there? I hate when I do that. Just saying.